Did you know in Sandy Shores, you can find this advertisement by a company named Salton Sea Real Estate? Well, Salton Sea is actually the real-life location in California that the Alamo Sea is based on in GTA 5. Here, you can see the almost identical signs for Sandy Shores and Salton Sea, as well as the road design and the overall vibe. This is just one example of a hidden detail that's found within GTA 5, but today I'm going to share 29 more. I broke everything down into these 5 categories that we're going to go through, but the very last one has some beta/removed content. Welcome to Late Night Level Up, the show that levels up your gaming knowledge one episode at a time. I'm 12AMT, and today I'll be sharing 30 secrets and hidden details in GTA 5 that even I, someone who watches tons of videos like this, never knew. With no further ado, let's continue on with that first category, being mistakes made by Rockstar. Another place that we're gonna see a mistake that Rockstar made on their signage is at the Lucky Plucker fast food restaurant. In the original release of GTA 5, on this menu here, you would see the real-life brands for Sprite, Fanta, and Barks advertised for sale. It wasn't until the enhanced version on the next-gen consoles that this would be fixed. Now, along with the Salton Sea location reference, you can actually find a real California license plate in-game too. If you head over to Stab City, you'll see this wrecked pickup truck, and on the bed of it, you'll see that plate attached. Rockstar North developers would actually publish alpha build screenshots where we could see these plates being used, but they were originally meant as placeholders. It seems like this one has remained untouched though. This is gonna check off our first category, so let's go learn about the next one, being Rockstar references. Occasionally, if you visit the Vanilla Unicorn, you'll see this NPC standing out front with this blue jersey on. If you look at the back, you'll see the last name Hopkins, and I'm sure some of you know where this is going. Hopkins is the last name of the protagonist from Rockstar's game Bully, this of course being Jimmy Hopkins. Now, if you head over to the Yellow Jack, you'll see another face from an older Rockstar title behind the counter. And no, they're not working behind the counter, they're actually on these $69 bills that are hanging up. The face being shown is the girl who is on GTA San Andreas disc, as well as the cover art. There's also a specific date printed on them, which is October 12, 2004, which is exactly 14 days before GTA San Andreas would release. Bonus fact, cock rock. This rock here looks like a cock. Wow. Now, if you've heard of Elgin Avenue or are familiar with the Elgin House property that we can purchase, I'm going to share with you where that name Elgin comes from. The former president of Rockstar North, whose name is Leslie Benzies, actually grew up in a small city in Scotland named Elgin. But this isn't the only reference to a Scottish location either, as the Edsel Foundation Youth Centre that's in Strawberry is named after Edsel, which is a small village in Scotland. Now, there is a little interesting fact here, which I'm gonna have to read off, but the creators of this center in-game are named B and E Milne, which could be a reference to A.A. Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh. We never really get the backstory of this. Maybe someone at Rockstar just really loves Winnie the Pooh. Pretty interesting. What's also interesting is that if you're playing as Trevor, occasionally if you run someone over, you're gonna hear him yell 10 points. This is referencing the scoring system that was in the original Grand Theft Auto, which actually gave you points when you committed crimes. I mean, none of us would really do that for fun though. I mean, just running over someone just for points, I mean, come on. Unless no one's looking, in which case 10 points, Carol. Now, another place that we're going to see a reference to an older GTA title, specifically the first one, is on this wall here next to the tunnel on Low Power Street. You can find this graffiti that says Los Santos, but the entire styling of it and the color scheme is reminiscent of the original Grand Theft Auto logo. With this being the 10th fact of this video, that's going to complete another category. Now, let's move on to the secret texts and calls. First, I'm going to start off with sharing all the different ways that you can piss off the other protagonists in game. If you shoot a gun, launch grenades, throw Molotov cocktails, or fire rockets at another protagonist's house, you'll receive an angry call or text telling you to stop, each protagonist having their own choice of words and flair. And if you go and poke around at one of their houses, you'll get a text from them asking if you're the one who's sneaking around. If you steal another protagonist's car, you'll get a text asking if you've seen it or if maybe you're the one who took it. Following that text, however, you're going to get a slightly more threatening phone call. And when playing as Franklin or Trevor specifically, you can go and steal one of Michael's family members' cars, which is going to prompt his reaction. He's going to shoot you over a text, either insulting you or asking you to return the car, depending on whose vehicle was stolen. Another fun way to get a good reaction out of the NPCs over the phone can be done during the hunting side activities. During these, Trevor is asked by Cletus Ewing to send him photos of the animals that he hunts. However, it's actually possible to send these photos to anyone in your contacts. The responses you're going to get range from just a simple comment on the photo to complete confusion and just disgust. Some of the contacts will have unique responses, but some of the other ones are just going to have randomized ones. Now, even though Cletus asked for photos of the animals you hunted, it's actually possible to send him a photo of, well, this. A dead body. This causes him to respond pretty disturbed, which is understandable. There is one phone number you have to be careful dialing, which is the one titled Black Cell Phones. If you're playing in single player and dial this phone number on screen, a small explosion will be triggered above your head, and then the phone you're holding is going to be turned black. Now, it won't be completely charred, but the UI is going to turn gray, and the background is going to turn to this solid black color. And this background is otherwise unattainable. We never really get a real explanation as to why this happens or why it's even in the game, but you can actually translate the phone number being 1999 EMP drop, which would make sense. So let's move on to another fun category, which is going to be video game references. There are tons and tons of references to other video games in GTA 5, so I went through and picked out my favorite ones. In Lester Crest's house, you're going to find a host of real-life video game copycats, and I think this is a great time to try and play a game here. What I'm going to do is show you the in-game variant of the title, and then it's your job to try and guess which one it's copying. So, let's start! Assassin's Revenge. Well, this one's easy, it's Assassin's Creed. BioCurse. BioShock. This one's going to be super easy. Dance Dance Maniac. Okay, it's for Dance Dance Revolution. Simple City. Sim City. Okay, maybe those were a little bit too easy, but let's see if you can get these physical objects that reference other video games. Looking at this billboard that advertises for Zombix, do you know what that's from? Now, if you've never played Dead Rising, you might not get this one, but in that game, it's called Zombrex, which is the valuable in-game cure for the zombie disease. You can also find several billboards like this one, which are advertising a show in game called Rehab Island. This one might be a little bit more easily identifiable because it uses the whole branding from the game that it's copying, which is Dead Island. Everything looks almost identical, and they even have that logo in the middle, but instead of a palm tree like it is in Dead Island, it's a marijuana plant. You can also find a commercial for this show in game, so maybe the next time you see a TV on, keep your eye out. I'd love to see how many of you are going to recognize this next one, because I never did, but maybe if you're a bigger fan of this series, you're going to get it instantly. At some industrial and construction sites, you're going to see this machinery that has a very specific paint scheme to it. Do you know what this is referencing yet? Well, it's almost identical to the paint scheme from our good friend Claptrap from Borderlands. Now, another paint scheme that's brought in from another video game is actually found on the crowbar. I guess growing up, I always just assumed that crowbars were painted in this color scheme, not knowing that there were other options, but it's actually identical to the one that Gordon Freeman uses in Valve's extremely popular game Half-Life. Moving on, you can find this business in downtown LS with the name Supersonic, and their motto is the ultra-fast ring service. This is obviously referencing Sonic the Hedgehog, where you collect rings as a currency/point system and you move around ultra fast. Now, the next reference might actually be a shot made by Rockstar against one of their biggest competitors. You can occasionally hear NPCs say the phrase, "City of Saints gonna struggle, Los Santos ain't in no trouble." The City of Saints being a reference to the Saints Row titles, which has been Rockstar's main competitor over, say, the last 20 years, but we can obviously see who's won now. There was once a time, though, where Saints Row was putting up a good fight against Rockstar, especially with the first and second games, but then they kind of just went off the rails, and they've never been the same since. Our final category is beta/removed content. Let's start off by talking about some of the things that have been removed from the game. In the original version of the game that released on Xbox 360 and PS3, you could find this face that was printed on the side of Mount Chiliad. This is Rockstar Leeds artist David Dixon. Same with the Lucky Plucker sign, this would end up being replaced with the Enhanced Edition, although it wasn't removed completely, but replaced with something else. So what was it replaced with? In his place, they put this rooster that has a similar look to, well, a cock. Now, with this and the cock rock, I might have enough content to just make a cock category. Well, that's okay, maybe we don't need that one, let's just move on. Something else that we would see removed is this Confederate battle flag that was once hung at the Braddock Farm as well as at the range. At Braddock Farm, it would be covered up in 2017 by a sign that says trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. However, the flag actually still remains underneath the sign. At the range, it would just be completely replaced by an American flag when the enhanced version was released in 2014. Now, when it comes to beta content specifically, you can actually still find a beta version of the Los Santos map map in a few locations. You can find it hung up at the Los Santos transit stations, as well as a very weird spot being the employee section of the Vanilla Unicorn. Now, if we head up to the Yellowjack, you can find this photo of Trevor Philips that seems to be taken during an earlier build of the game. Trevor is sitting in the cockpit of this small plane, which looks to be taken in the beta version of like the Grand Sonora Desert, but this isn't the only interesting fact about this photo. The registration on the tail of this plane reads LS5680, but what's really cool is that if we go to the Thompson scrapyard in-game, you can find this exact tail. Now, if you go to the Del Perro Pier and some specific clothing stores, you can find these postcards, and on them, you're gonna see photos of early locations in-game that have since been changed. Well, anyways, I hope you were able to learn at least one new thing from this video, and you can check out my other GTA content right here on screen. As always, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.